Welcome to another video of Show and Tell Books. I'm Amber.
And I'm Chantel.
And today we're doing part 2 of our Taylor Swift
inspired book recommendations.
There we go. This is why we're a team.
And why it's a lot better when we're actually in person with each other. If you watched the previous video, you already know we are currently in LA while we're filming this because we are actually going to Taylor Swift.
Yes.
So this is probably, I think, one of our most favorite episodes that we're filmed to this point.
Yeah.
This has been really fun, coming up with kind of looking at all of Taylor's songs and then figuring out books that correspond with them. Really quick recap in case you didn't watch the first video. We are only recommending books that we actually have read to make sure that they super fit with the song or the vibe or the feel of the Taylor Swift song. So this has been like an 8-month long process.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Let's start with Reputation. This is one of my favorite albums, but it's also a little bit trickier to find books that match, especially because we're more romance heavy in our reads, and Reputation doesn't really lend itself to romance book
recommendations. Like a diss track.
Yeah.
So it'd be like we'll just have to like come up with a giant list of like breakup books essentially, because that's kind of how I feel like, but not like the sappy kind of breakup, but like the screw you kind of breakup.
Yeah, this is the revenge era, right?
Yes.
So
yes, it is.
We're looking at revenge like books, which let's start with Look What You Made Me Do.
Oh my gosh.
Such a great song.
Yes, and I'm really happy about the book we picked for it. We picked One of Us Is Lying. There is a caveat in there. It is more from the perspective of the culprit, which you'll find out at the end.
This series is one of my favorite series, and I think it gets better as you read.
Mm-hmm. It's a YA kind of thriller mystery. If you like true crime, if you liked A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, it's better than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And not as hyped on booktok, which I was slightly surprised about because I like it more. But if that is one of your favorite songs, go read One of Us Is Lying and that entire series.
Yes.
Continuing, I Did Something Bad. We ended up picking The Golden Couple. This is probably my most favorite thriller I have ever read. It's one of those, like, you get to the plot twist and you're like, WTF just happened. It's perfect and fun and just a really great, like, psychological thriller.
I'm a bit of a mood reader, so I've saved The Golden Couple going into the autumn and fall because that's when I feel like reading my thrillers.
Chances are we'll probably actually do a full YouTube video on this because I love it so much. I read it almost a year ago, and so when you get around to reading it again, we're definitely going to do a video because I can't recommend this book enough. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of a fantastic book, I'm excited for this. And I know we say that all the time, but Dress is probably one of the songs that lends itself best to the smutty category of romance novels.
So we picked my favorite booktok inspired book, and actually my favorite book that was released this year, True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. So this is a book 2. First book was Soulmate Equation, which is my absolute favorite romance book, actually. It's the most perfect romance book I have ever read. And so we were nervous going into the second book because living up to that hype is really hard.
Plus, Fizzy is kind of a character that you love or you don't love, and I was on the fence about her. So having an entire book from Fizzy's perspective was one I was a little nervous about, but
she's also really thirsty. So
that's a thirsty lady, huh?
So that's hard when you have an entire novel. So they did really well with balancing her and her love interest and using like a dual point of view to make it less overwhelming.
I would say, in my opinion, Fizzy is one of the characters that has the most development I've ever read in a novel.
They really did fantastic with her character and that entire plot and story. It was really well done. So Dress, not my personal favorite song, but the book, fantastic. And the merge of those two together, just have Dress playing in the background while you're reading the book.
Yeah. Okay. Now this next album obviously lends itself a little bit more to our favorite genre. We've got Lover.
Yes. And so we started off with The Man. iconic song, really, and so realistic, I think, and so accurate. So we actually picked Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. You haven't read that one yet, have you?
No, I put it on my July TBR, like intending to read it in July, and I have not yet done
Well, you
so.
also were going to bring it on the plane, but the next like 4 days that we're here in LA are so jam-packed with a ton of stuff that I was like, kudos to you for wanting to bring the book, but it's one of those like, why am I bringing the book? Because I know I'm not actually going to read it.
Right. And I want to give it time to actually enjoy because Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing is always so immersive for me. I want to enjoy that, not rush through it.
I actually think it's interesting that we picked this because actually, while we're talking about it now, I'm remembering the music video for The Man and the ending when Dwayne Johnson is the voice, right? And it's a tennis scene. And I'm wondering if that partially influenced the story of Carrie Soto is Back, because it is a tennis star who is coming out of retirement in order to prove that she's still got it. And it very much captures that. The different standards we hold different genders to, or even different ages, and it does really well at portraying all of those inequalities essentially in a novel format. And it was a book that taught me a lot and kind of changed a lot of the paradigms that I have. So I loved it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading it. Can we take a second to talk about one of the most unhinged theories I've ever seen on TikTok?
What?
That there isn't actually a difference between Taylor Jenkins Reid and Taylor Swift, but it's the same person. I don't believe it, but the storytelling that these two use is incredible.
They're both exceptional. Taylor's an exceptional lyricist, and the stories she weaves. Do I believe it? No. Can I see why it exists? Absolutely.
Okay, next we have You Need to Calm Down. Now, you might know from the music video of You Need to Calm Down that the cast of The Queer Eye is featured in it. And I thought it would be appropriate to showcase some of their novels. And I chose Naturally Tan by Tan France for this song because if you want to talk about a book that helps you change your paradigm, I think Naturally Tan is one of those books. I gained a new appreciation for the experiences that Tan takes the time to share in this memoir about growing up in London and the challenges he faced, not only culturally, but also because of his sexual orientation. So I truly recommend reading Naturally Tan, especially if you don't have an idea of what
the LGBTQ plus community faces. I also would like to know, like, this is the only memoir we have highlighted of the Taylor Swift inspired book recommendations. And it's because it is super impactful and kind of changes your perspective.
I know it's important for Taylor Swift to use her platform to highlight the experience of others and where we can do better. And that's highlighted in Miss Americana, but also in the music video and lyrics for You Need to Calm Down. And I'm grateful that she took the opportunity as such a huge artist to draw attention to something like this.
That was needed.
That is definitely needed.
With our last song for Lover, we have Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Okay, so this is actually a book that we don't love, but
you liked it more than I did. We also did a YouTube video on this, so you can find out more about why we didn't super love this book.
But we're gonna talk about Meet Me by the Lake by Carly Fortune. I think she entered a sophomore slump with this book, but the experience of the main characters definitely embodies the Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Yeah, as soon as we finished this book, because again, we read it in tandem, and I texted Amber and I was like, this is Death by a Thousand Cuts. Like, it 100% is the feel of that song.
Okay, this is one of my favorite albums, and I think it's one of your least favorite, right?
I like Folklore more than I like Evermore, but her COVID era albums, I didn't relate to as much. So of all of hers, these are the ones I know least.
Which is interesting because I think these are the ones where her storytelling is
phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And I also think her stardom really shot through the roof with these albums moving forward. She always was a big star, but I think these really helped cement her
legacy in the
Yes.
music industry.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Exile is one of those songs that is an emotional roller coaster.
I'll say before we name the book, we actually disagree with what the author and the book talk community has said. They say this book is actually fits maroon, and we disagree. We think The Happy Place is far better suited to Exile.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments what you think. The next song is one that is a little bit of a challenge because we don't like this trope.
Yeah, it's not necessarily one we read a lot of when it comes to illicit affairs. So it was tricky to find one. Fortunately, Amber just finished
Anna Karenina, and oh my gosh, does this match up? Like, if someone told me today that Taylor was inspired by reading Anna Karenina to write this song, I would be like, yeah, 100%, that makes perfect sense.
So would you say if I didn't want to read Anna Karenina because that book is incredibly long and boring, I could just read the lyrics of Illicit Affairs and get the entire like plot summary?
I think so.
Yeah, sounds good. I will do that instead.
Okay.
This Is Me Trying is the last song we picked for Folklore. And wow, we really are on a Taylor Jenkins Reid kick, which is inadvertent, I think, but
we didn't plan it. But Malibu Rising is the book we chose for this song. And Malibu Rising is actually one of those books that when I first read it, I was like, I don't really appreciate this book like others do. But upon further reflection, I wouldn't say it's necessarily grown on me, but I can appreciate it more.
So I have a funny story for Malibu Rising. I started Malibu Rising the same time I was reading. It was either Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo or Daisy Jones and the Six. And somehow in my brain, I did not connect that they're the same author. So I got really confused because all of her books feature Mick. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Mick.
The dad, right?
Yeah.
And because I didn't register it as the same author, I was like, hold up, why is this person the same? Like, why is this person in two different books? Is this like based off a true story? Is this dude really real? So then I was Googling if it was based on a true story. It's not. Spoiler. I didn't register that. So now that is all I think of whenever we talk about Taylor Jenkins Reid.
I really love, I don't know who the original creator of this is, but I love that they pointed it out. All of the Taylor Jenkins Reid's novels that are being adapted to screen are being done by different studios. So you have one on Hulu, one on Amazon Prime, and you have a character who shows up in all of the books. So there's going to be like 4 or 5 of him in these different iterations. And it's like, do you think they're going to work it out in the contract that he just plays? No, of course not. So we're going to end up with like 4 or 5 different versions of.
But that's actually kind of fitting given how that character acts throughout all of her different books. So that's funny, right? Yeah, that fits weirdly well.
Yeah. I wish I knew which creator to give credit to for that idea, but possibly the best thing I've ever seen on TikTok.
Kind of one of those unhinged book talk theories that fits. Okay, moving on to Evermore. This is my least favorite album of Taylor Swift. But this song is my favorite song on that album. No Body, No Crime.
And we paired it with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That series became more unhinged as it went on.
I will caveat that with I haven't read the 3rd book because
I wouldn't.
It got
a little dark, a little crossing the line from morally gray to
very gray.
Very gray.
Yeah.
It's a good series if you like true crime and YA.
That song is just fun and very true crimey. So
yeah,
it was a natural fit.
I can't think of No Body, No Crime without thinking of Earl by the Chicks. Is that what they're called now? The Dixie Chicks?
You've
never listened to Earl?
No.
It was referenced to the book I just read and it was hilarious. Anyways, I'm showing my age by referencing Earl by originally they were the Dixie Chicks and now I don't know what they're called because they changed their name to be more politically correct. I think it's the Chicks. Anyways, Earl finds himself no longer among the living and gets buried in the backyard and similar vibes. So this is one of those songs where when people are like, Taylor's not country anymore, I'm like, have you listened to Nobody No Crap?
I will say her Evermore album ended up being a lot more country than her transition albums were. So
yeah,
funny. Okay.
Okay.
Next we've got Marjorie. I ended up picking up again a book I'm not a huge fan of, which is We Were Liars. If someone can actually explain the whole point of this book, drop it in a comment because I've read it twice. Once when it first came out, and then a second time when booktok picked it up and was like, this is amazing. And I read it and I was still like, what the hey? So it fits Marjorie. I thought you actually have it on your TBR.
Yeah.
For upcoming. I just want someone to explain why. Yeah. So let me know.
Okay, this next one is you have to listen to it and you have to listen to it with focus. Okay?
Can I just say, I'm so happy we found this because all afternoon we were trying to find a song for this book because it is probably one of my favorite reads, which I know I've said that a couple times, but this one's worth the hype. And so the fact that we found the song and this book that match it's perfection.
All right, the song is Ivy.
And we picked Fourth Wing. Guys, go read the lyrics, like Amber said, and just think of the book. And it's just the feel of the song was spot on, which was kind of our tricky thing because we went through a couple different songs of like, all right, is this Fourth Wing E? And we were trying to find one a little bit more like fantasy feeling. And then we listened to Ivy and I was like, wait, this is it. Like, the feel, the lyrics, the story. It's perfect.
I mean, so we haven't filmed our take on Fourth Wing yet. It's gonna come, especially because the sequel comes out in November. And
the thing is, I have to reread the book again before we film it because I've read like 20 books in between that, and so I need to remember it.
But
we'll probably mention this, actually, the fact of how well this fits and the lyrics and kind of what
we'll do a full breakdown. We'll do an analysis for you.
We'll do that because I'm really proud of this one.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Midnights. We have to. And rounding out kind of this video, would've, could've, should've, we picked the book.
The Love That Split the World. Now, we are huge Emily Henry fans, and this magical realism book is a bit of a controversy among us. I enjoyed it more than Chantel did. But it's a little bit of a twist your brain. Not that it's a thriller or anything like that. There's no plot twist really. It's just what happened.
The ending. Yeah.
What is going on? And I think that's a lot of the feelings people express about would've, could've, should've. It's a song that like you derive different meaning from
depending on where you're at in your life and perspective. If you want to know more about our thoughts on one, Emily Henry, and two, the Love That Split the World, and the rest of Emily Henry's works, because we've read all of them, go watch our Emily Henry Throughout the Years video.
Yeah, I also did a ranking of all of her books, so check that out too. This is one that I'm going to talk about because Chantel's going to be like, this is Amber. This is Amber all the way. Glitch. This is a song that I love. And I can't tell you why. It's just an emotional connection too. And the book I paired it with is Powerless by Elsie Silver. And it's one of those that I was sitting in the car reading on my Kindle while my husband drove us somewhere. And I kept thinking of Glitch the entire time. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you've read the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver.
All right, and then the final Taylor Swift book-inspired recommendation that we've got, at least for this video, is Midnight Rain.
Okay, we have a love-hate relationship with Megan Quinn. We'll
Some
be honest.
books are fantastic, and we have highlighted our top Megan Quinn books. Some of her books are less fantastic.
But we selected the Getting Lucky series, or what I call the Port Snow series by Megan Quinn for this one. And it is a bit of a caveat. It's also a funny way that we chose it. So we were listening to Midnight Rain and both were like, wait, it's the Getting Lucky series.
At the same time, without having like talked about it, we both were like, wait, what's that series where this happens and this happens? And then it's a perfect fit. We do have to say it's the entire series. So yeah. Different parts of the books fit different portions of the song. So if you want kind of that like
golden retriever, but also grumpy sunshine,
then there's certain books for that. If you want the like I left the guy behind to go and chase my dreams, that's in there. The whole like second chance romance aspect of it is also in those books. So this one I'm also proud of. Simply also is just fun thinking of the same book at the same time. And that's when we were both like, okay, this is definitely it. Like, it was perfect.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
This was fun for us. We hope it was fun for you guys.
Again, let us know in the comment section if you have a song you want us to pair with a book. We promise to get to it. It just might take some time because we really take it seriously and want to read the book before we make a recommendation.
Go check out some of our other Taylor Swift inspired book recommendation videos. We have some of those. We also have a bunch of other videos, kind of like what we've talked about, because we read a lot. We've reviewed a lot. Go check those out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Bye. Bye.